What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC, Crypto in the Morning, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I had a long night of sleep. I slept like a baby. So that's always a one for me, because that's really the only thing that stops me from having an amazing day every single day is if I have any kind of sleep problem. That's why every day I think sleep is one of my priorities, literally every day. It's like literally like a top 3 priority of mine. Like it can go if I have something so vitally important that I have to do. Like if there's a fork in the middle of the night, like, yes, I am going to participate in the fork. But on 99% of the time, I'm going to keep sleep at the top, because you got to keep this thing running good. Like, you know, and there's a lot of ways to do that, but sleep, numero uno, in my opinion, and water. Okay, let's move on. Crypto in the morning. Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky has officially resigned, and I'm starting donations to get him in federal prison. How much money can I give someone to get this guy in federal prison? Because he really rugged like a lot of people in my life that I actually care about. So I actually don't like the guy. Like, I know friends that lost all their money in Celsius. Like, it's weak. That's weak. I don't like that. I don't like that for crypto adoption. I don't like that for stealing. I don't like any of that. Do also, somebody found Do the day after Celsius went down. He sold 32,000 Bitcoin. So he was selling his Bitcoins right when his project was nuking to zero. And that's, coincidence, I'm sure, if you ask him. It's not every day your algo stablecoin, goes to zero. But and then he dumped, so there's that. But what are we going to be talking primarily about today? LayerZero technology, people stepping up, because I don't want to be the guy that steps up. Just like Richard doesn't want to be the guy that steps up to build the first interoperable layer one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he likes Vitalik doing the sharding. You know what I mean? He likes when Vitalik's do. I want other people to make it so I can provide liquidity between these chains now, please. Now. I want it now. I want it now. I want to be able to do it now. And I feel like it's 2022 and we can do lots of cool stuff. And I feel like, Sam, I want someone to make it so I can LP between these chains. So I can get something working here. So I can connect the peoples, connect these assets, get more people, be more fluid, more users, more adoption, more spread out energy width as well. More surface area per se. So surface area is the whole thing. Sam, I want to touch on sharding. I want to touch on a lot of these technical things in the Ethereum chain, because that's where my head's at right now. I'm all in the weeds right now. I cannot stop listening to Vitalik. I cannot stop listening to the devs. And I was also learning a lot about flash bots and all of that AMM stuff. It's just amazing. I love it. Decentralized finance is the best. It is the best. And Sam's having a great time too. I don't even have to ask him. Let's go, guys. Crypto in the morning every single day. We're going to be talking about LayerZero and why I ain't got it. So let's get that. We were going to get that going. And it is possible because other chains do it, but there is risks. We're just learning today, guys. Crypto in the morning. Smash the like, share it out, do all the stuff. I'm going to be live again at 1 p.m. Let's get it.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way.
Defi proof.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
What's good, bro? I got some cool stuff to talk about too before we get into LayerZero, or we can intertwine this.
No, you start. You start, Sam. Just start. Just go.
You know what's launched in the last 12 hours or so, and this has nothing to do with ETF or ETHW. This is Defi, Trio, Lucky, Team. All that shit just launched. I see this morning, I know we're not really going to get into price or anything, but it's trading at 1-for-1 still, which is not going to be the case for long. You'll see the price appreciation of Defi.
So on Ethereum, so when did it click over?
Let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
It was last night.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up his Twitter, so I'll probably have all the information there if you want me to just go.
It went down to 95 cents. 95% of hex value. So say if you took 100 hex, now you could actually buy more after launch. Now it is above the 1-for-1. This is 1 Defi for 1 hex. That's how you minted to start with. However, hex doesn't have the longer pays better or the bigger pays better in it at all. And it's not staked for 10 years. There's no way that Defi will probably ever go below that 1-for-1 ratio again. And if it does, I will be picking more up. I might even pick more up right now at a 1-for-1 ratio because it's going to accelerate. It's going to appreciate. I already had some set aside just for this purpose because
it's a great move if you have volume. Like if you actually, oh my God, if you actually have volume, it's like an instant 30% to 60%. I'm going to go ahead and say 60. It'll be a 1.62, 1.58, 1.55, 1.7, something. And that's free. That's for freezies. That's programmed in, baby. We call that programmed in money, baby. But I don't have any volume over there, so I'm kind of wrecked. But I know the opportunity is incredible. You know what I mean? The opportunity. What Dipcatcher's done is honest work, great work for the community, helping everyone. Let's look here. Huge demographic shift between Maxi and Defi. Maxi pulled 294 million hex, guys, between 5,300 users. And Defi alone pulled 810 million hex between 2,569 users. Starting to piece together some statistics at pool. So let's go to these statistics page.
You know why that is, though, right? Because people who are doubters, people are like, I'm a RH Maxi, right? But these people wouldn't put money into Maxi to start with, or only a teeny little bit, right? And then once they saw the gargantuan success, and once they saw that 1-for-1 now gave them a 70% increase to their bag while everything else was down.
And we told them that would happen, by the way. I don't care what anyone says, anyone, blah, blah, blah. I knew it. It was easy. It's not hard math to do if you know what's going on. It's actually really easy to do. And there was guys that came on the show and checked me on it. And I was like, no, that's not how math works. That's not how numbers work. I'm not, just because I didn't go to Harvard doesn't mean I can't put a ratio into my calculator. You know what I mean? Like it's a ratio. That's what people need to understand. It's a puzzle, and they need to understand the puzzle before they start putting some of the pieces together. If you know what I'm saying, Sam.
What's up?
We're crushing it.
This is what I'm going to do with this one. And then let's get into here. I pulled together I pulled together a bag of Defi. Like I was like, I see this happening. Just like that's why there's 800 plus million hex that was dumped into the Defi contract. I saw this happening. And I know that I personally believe that there's going to be a minimum of 50% increase in the Defi price relative to hex, right? As GRC was talking about, it's a ratio relative to hex. It's going to have at least a 50%.
I don't know what that hedron does to it. That's a good. There's a difference. I got a 4x on all my Maxi on the hedron, but hedron was very speculative back then, very low value. And this really all does come back to human interaction with whatever like the value actually is, because we can do the math. Like I can do guess what? You can do the math on the 4x bonus that you can do for the because that's why the timed staking immutable contract is so important, Sam, because they're legit time. It's legit amount of time. Like, we know the numbers. I know that 4,000 days in the Hex contract gives you the max T-share bonus. And that's what Defi is, the same T-share bonus as a 15-year stake, but there's less time. So it's really, really interesting. And that might weigh a big difference too, because there is a lot of compounding interest from the 11-year to 15-year mark.
And there's like, somebody had mentioned Trio is still selling at a discount. And I wouldn't be surprised. So how I think about this, right? Base is probably going to sell pretty close to Hex price. Base is probably going to, because there's not a lot in there, right? Like, it's a 1-year stake. Cool. It will build over time. I think the premium of it will build relative to Hex, but it's not going to be like to write home your mom about like, oh, I made 4% this month, right? Or 7%. But then you have Trio, which had a teeny bit more of a premium. And then the same thing for Lucky. But the last one, that one is going to have the most premium because you still minted 1-for-1, 1 Hex, 1 Defi. Now, as soon as launch happens and this becomes more dispersed in the community, people realize, wait a second, I had 1 Hex and I got 1 Defi, but this Defi is representative of a 10-year stake, bigger pays better, longer pays better, and now there's a liquidity premium on here because you can't trade stakes in this fashion, this liquidity. So now there's going to be a premium on here. I think that's going to be well above 50% within the next 30 to 60 days. So that's why I was like, let me get this shit going.
Hey, Bitcoin up 6.84% on the daily, guys. 20.1K. What's going on with Bitcoin? It's getting out of hand. No, but seriously, there's people that'll trade on that and be like, oh, dude, this could be the moment. Like, literally hundreds and hundreds of guys, and maybe not thousands, because who trades Bitcoin? But no one trades Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know one person who trades Bitcoin. And I'm the kind of guy who doesn't just listen to like, oh, Bitcoin's a big name. So, but I actually think like, have I ever ran into someone that traded Bitcoin? Nope. Never once. Never one time in my life.
Hey, we should launch one of those fake mustaches that goes, you can get that clip that goes on your nose, and then anybody can buy those where you just have your own crypto in the morning mustache. Let me know.
That would be fun.
Right?
Yes. For your kids too. That would be fun for the kids.
Holidays are coming up right now.
So I want people to understand before we get started, guys, let's hit up Bitfinesse first with the $20 super duper. I want to say who said it, but once I heard the words now or never, how do you, Sam, think of these words? Now or never. In general, how do you think of those words, Sam? Now or never?
Now or never. I think about making decisions fast, right? I think about making decisions very quickly. There's a lot of people who like to sit and think about what they're going to do. I like to take action as quickly as possible. And whatever happens because I know that I make decisions fast, and that speed breeds confidence, right? And that speed breeds momentum. That's how I think about it.
I just think like if you're in the right headspace, like it's always go time.
Always.
It's always go time. Like but if you're not in the right headspace, it's never go time. You don't even know what go time looks like. So now or never, it's like, it's never for most people because they don't even know what they don't know what they want and how to get it. If you don't have that mapped out in your head, you're just doing nothing. The first thing you have to do is understand what you want to do.
And if you're like sitting around for years and years and you're like not living the life you want, maybe you feel like, hey, you always having struggles with money, or maybe you feel like you're having struggles in like relationships, like butting heads with girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, etc., or friends, or your whatever is happening in your life on a regular basis. Now is the time to start taking action and getting your shit together, because it's not going to get easier at all. It's just going to get harder the longer you wait. And here's the thing. Once you start, if you just continue, you never have to start again because you've already continued and you just keep going, period. And then
there's so many guys along the way, Sam, and they all think they have a shot at keeping up with you. And you're like, you didn't even start the race, guys. just because you're doing the same thing as me and maybe you have more followers than me, you don't even know, this is just playtime. This is just fun. Like, I enjoy my life actually. And like I had to talk to Bullish. I was like, I got to start getting busy like a week or so, maybe like, and I say that all the time because it's kind of how I motivate myself. But there's so many guys that can do decent jobs. There's plenty of guys that can do okay jobs, but there's not a lot of guys that people will throw money at because they know they're going to win no matter what. And that is what Richard is. That is what Vitalik is. That is what those entities are. That's what leadership is. Leadership is shining so bright that you can't even slow down. Like, people hit me up and they think I'm being rude. And it's like, I never read your message. I get kicked out of Telegram chats all the time and re-entered into them. I'm like, I had not a clue. I would have never known in a million years that you blocked me from a Telegram group. So people bring these points up and say things to me like, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. I'm like, don't be sorry. I could give two fucks. I need you to know that. Let's understand. I don't care because I have a mission and a goal and I'm going there no matter what. And I don't hear all the noise because what am I supposed to do? Read every message all day? Like, what? Like, I'd rather take a nap or like get a workout in,
But I do like to play both games in the sense of being, you're above a lot of stuff in the sense that you control your emotions and your feelings. Yet at the same time, I do like to keep an essence to try to get an understanding of like how a lot of people are thinking, because I think if I go too far in one direction of like that, then I feel that I will probably lose touch with a lot of society unless I have to pay attention.
I'm sorry. I'll tell you, Sam, you might be a little bit of a because you lost touch with reality like a decade ago. So let's not get it twisted, Sam. Half the things you say would make the average housewife cry, and that would just be a normal conversation to you. Like, oh yeah, I don't believe that COVID-19 had the direct out, and they would just all cry, and you would just be like, I was explaining something. Like, you should just listen for a sec. Hold on. Like, and they're like, no, you're going to jail. You're evil. So basically, losing touch with reality is one of the best things you can do as a human, because you need 5 or 6 guys that will seriously check you if you're being whacked. But you can be a little weird. But like, if you're being really weird, getting off the wall, it happens to everyone. You need guys that'll check you a little bit, at least tell you, and you have to trust people. There has to be a few people in your life that you trust. If you have no trust, you're just going to wander around and be like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But let's get into the topic, and I'm just going to do 3 minutes on this just to get the underlying, because I already run this whole show with shenanigans. So, let's just keep it going.
Get into it. Yep.
LayerZero technology, guys.
Give context. What does LayerZero mean? Like, if you have to think about the essence of like what this would be, how would you describe it?
Well, first of all, I want to be one of the first guys who starts saying LayerZero a lot, because I need this to get stuck in people's freaking heads. Okay. And if LayerZero is the word to do it, LayerZero is the word to do it. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to be the first guy on YouTube making LayerZero. I'll start that trend. You know what I mean? Because it's everyone knows what it is, but nobody talks about it yet because there's safety issues and there's a little complications and nobody wants to tackle anything that has any issues. So except Vitalik. So, how much can the Ethereum Foundation do at one time? I don't know. And this is not a shill for, if you're buying this token, I have never once looked at this token. I have never once purchased this token. This is an example of the technologies. Okay. So don't go getting your computer out and getting all fat and happy. Just chill out for a second. Okay. I'm going to play this for 3 or 4 minutes. Me and Sam are going to have a little discussion, and we're going to talk about if there's anyone in this chat that is a dev, if there's anyone in this chat that knows about this technology very intimately, and if there's anyone in this chat that I could talk to, I would like you to identify yourself and tell me why I would like to have a conversation with you, because I want to learn about this stuff. And I've been studying for a couple of days now, and it's not that complicated. So I want to talk about this. I want to know what the real problems are, what the real adoption issues are, what the real scalability issues are, what the real security issues are. That's what I want to kind of know, because it sounds like it's possible in smaller ecosystems. So I'm just going to get into it.
Let's get into it.
Interesting. All right, so let's dive in. First, let's start with the definition from the website itself. They say Stargate is a community-driven organization that's building the first fully composable native asset bridge and the first app built on LayerZero. There's quite a lot to unpack there. So basically, Stargate's vision is to make cross-chain liquidity transfer a seamless single transaction process. I'll get into the technicals just after we go through the platform. And if you are looking to learn more about the technicals and would like to know more about the consensus and all that stuff, the documents or the links to all the documents and articles will be in the description. And as always, as you know, that I try to keep it as less technical as I can so that everyone can understand. I'll definitely miss out on a lot of things that are in the documents. All right, so make sure that if you want to learn more, go through the documents. So if you look at Stargate Finance website, Stargate is considered a cross-chain liquidity transfer protocol. What does Stargate Finance do? It helps you to transfer liquidity or carry out transactions throughout different blockchains by staying on one spot. So, for example, what happens is if you go to transfer, since it's a liquidity transfer protocol, that's how they're defining at the moment, you can transfer different assets from a different blockchain. For example, I can transfer USDC from Ethereum directly to BNB or any of these networks in one transaction. I got to pay transaction fee once, and then will be transferred. For example, if I transfer, let's say 20 USDC, the fee is 0.01, and I got to approve it and I got to send it, right? So that's basically the protocol at the moment. You can transfer any asset from one network to another network directly, and you get native assets as well. And if you're wondering how this is different from Bridge, I'll explain that in just a second. The main thing is you're getting native asset and not a wrapped asset like you get on a Bridge, but more on that later. So the basic understanding is Stargate is a liquidity transfer layer or a liquidity transfer protocol, or technically a bridge that allows you to transfer assets directly to different blockchains from one click, and you pay the gas fee or the transaction fees once, right? And you also have a pool, so you can stake your asset or you can provide liquidity. And since there is a fee on all the transactions or each and every transfer of liquidity, you can provide liquidity for different assets and you can earn fees as a part of you providing those liquidity. And on top of that, you can use that liquidity pool tokens and go to farming, and you can farm your liquidity pool tokens to earn Stargate as well. And eventually in the future, the Stargate users will be able to stake their STG tokens and get VE-STG, which allows them to vote on the future of the protocol. All right, so that's basically what the Stargate Finance is. If someone else wants to incorporate Stargate, they can do that as well. That's my understanding. So if Uniswap wants to enable cross-chain transfer or cross-chain swap, they can incorporate Stargate and their algorithm to do so. All right. So how does Stargate function, or how does Stargate actually achieve this? So before I can explain.
This is fascinating, bro.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've been like really kind of pissed off more because I feel like guys that are way smarter than me and have way more resources can really have taken care of this for me already. That's the only thing. But I'm willing to spread the word as much as possible.
This is what I've been talking about with V4 for Uniswap, right? Like this is effectively what I'm talking about, where you can pool all the assets in one place and they don't get locked up in bridges. I haven't looked deeply into this.
And we decide what has value on all chains immediately.
Because you can, and imagine how easy it would be if there was one that was trustless, because I just don't know how this is set up, so it could be. But SushiSwap has implemented Stargate, I believe, in their protocol to be able to do swaps and end up with the native assets in those. I haven't looked terribly deeply.
Definitely Binance definitely has stuff that does that too. Like, but I want it for me. And I don't play around on those chains too often. So if you guys want me to stay on the damn chain, then you get this shit going, because I got options now, but I don't want to use them because I believe in Vitalik and I believe in Richard, and I think Ethereum's better. I truthfully do. But I don't get it twisted for a second. These guys have billions and billions and billions of dollars at Binance. They can do whatever they fucking want. unless they, get Mashinsky.
Do you think that these why something like this hasn't been implemented? So like users, you and I want this stuff. Like clearly this would be tremendously valuable asset. If you could do this trustlessly and put this with a DEX, like you could swap between assets, between platforms, all trustlessly. This would be tremendous to the community. But something like Uniswap, right? They is it going to be valuable for them to do it? Because then they're like, oh, I don't want to implement something from Stargate because it's taking away from the brand, right? Or people tell themselves those.
Well, I think Ethereum has so much of the market cap and the market share that they're worried that it's like, I just want it to be possible for me, but I don't know if it being possible for everyone is necessarily the best thing for Ethereum because they're kind of centralized.
Do you think that remember that dude we were listening to with CNBC a couple days ago, and he was an older gentleman, but he's like, I've been doing this for 35 years, 35 cycles or something. And what he pointed out, what I thought was very interesting, back, I don't remember when the data was, but Ethereum and Bitcoin represented, say, over 60, 70, 80% of the total market cap of crypto. And just as of recently, Ethereum and Bitcoin only represented about 43% of the totality of crypto. So do you like the dominance in people's minds?
Well, an 85% dump is an 85% dump. So when your market cap is 90% more than everyone else's, and then at 90% dumps, but everything else 90% dumps too, it's like they just didn't lose as much money. Like, you know what I mean? There's just so much less money that it kind of makes it like make sense that these chains at this time, because our assets are wrecked right now. Wrecked. They were at $4,500, bro. That's wrecked.
But the dominance of these two is still, I completely
yeah, no, yeah, we're right on.
They're shrinking. They're shrinking because
is it just shrinking in this moment? That's kind of the question. Like, is it going to surpass everything by leaps and bounds?
I think
everyone going to interact with, and that's why we talk about sharding, and that's why we're going to get into that a little bit too. Can everyone in the United States and in the entire globe interact with Ethereum on the same day?
No.
It can in the future.
Potentially with sharding.
That's what I'm saying. But if it can do that, and if that works, then
so you think that 43% of Bitcoin and Ethereum, depending on how things play out, that could grow back up? I don't know. I see that there's.
I see Ethereum either taking over or just getting into normal wash. Like it'll just be like, whoa, it was cool and it was great and it was the first thing, but it's not moving as fast as maybe someone else at some point. It's not moving as quick as Richard Heart is once he had everything go the way he wanted in a couple years, whatever. So I think it's just important to remember that this is open source software. So Vitalik is a god for sure, but he is not the god. Like he's just good at what he does. Like he's just really smart dude. And the Ethereum Foundation has a lot of push. I'm banking on the Ethereum Foundation and the Vitalik to work this out better than everyone else. And I believe that he wrote this shit at 19 years old. I believe that he has way more insight on the market than all of us combined times a billion. And he's playing the fiddler with this shit. I really do. And I think he could wait as long as he wants because now that he has this proof of stake fork, and we're going to go into a little bit the four different layers of the merge from Vitalik himself, because we just need to really understand what's going on here. Like it's as important. People can belittle a proof of stake fork that took 6 years very quickly with one tweet. And it's sick.
I don't think people are trying to do that. I think that POS.
It's naivete.
Yeah, and I think that we all believe the Ethereum proof of stake is going to be utterly successful at the very highest levels of success, unless some crazy shit happens. But I think that if you had to bet on one, you're going to bet on Ethereum, and that's because of the track record. It's because of the people involved. It's because of Vitalik, right? But there's a lot of smart people in crypto who don't necessarily have that attention, who are all trying to vie for a piece of the pie. I don't know how right? Is the mind space so ingrained with Ethereum, right? But Ethereum's still losing relative to the total pie. Ethereum's gigantic. Ethereum is going to continue to accelerate and gain adoption. I'm not saying that. I mean, as crypto continues to expand, right? As we go from 3.5% of the world population to 7%, is the Bitcoin Ethereum chunk of the total pie going to go from 43%, or is it going to go to 53? Or I think it will probably go down to 33. I don't know. I think it's going to continue to go down.
I think it's the Metcalfe's law thing. So it's just check the users every day, like, you know, to a degree. Like if you just look at the users, because there's a lot of fake volume in crypto too. Like there's a lot of manipulated VC volume, and Ethereum's not really jiving. Like to be honest, there's a lot of people that use Ethereum. I know them. Yeah, I know them, and I know them, a lot of them. So Ethereum is not Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So Bitcoin is a store of value and a reserve of liquidity, and that is it for really rich people. But then there's really, really richer people that don't even want to mess with it. So just remember, there's always levels to this shit, but there's no one that you know that can take out enough Ethereum to dump the price to zero. No one that you know personally. There's no one that I know personally. There's no one that, you know. Now, Richard, on the other hand, and his buddies could probably dump Ethereum to zero for short term, very short term, for the, you know, at least in a minute wick, 5-minute wick, maybe. And, you know, it would still survive it all, though, to be honest. I think like when things get nuked, like they're really easy to buy back up to a similar degree. Like it's just, and someone got their money that needed to get out of the system anyway. And they kind of, when you wick it like that, you're kind of just nuking yourself on slippage anyway. So it kind of can be beneficial just to get guys out on nuke slippage anyway sometimes. So let's just play this for another like minute or so, and then we'll dump it down. But I think everyone kind of understands what I'm getting at here. This image is a good one. Ethereum, assets are locked, assets burned. Bridge, assets are unlocked, wrapped assets are minted. So then you can be over here on Solaners, okay? But that goes down every month, so we don't play on that, okay?
How Stargate makes it possible, or why Stargate is first of its kind. Let me explain a little bit about bridges. I went over this topic in the other explanation video for LayerZero as well, but since this is very closely connected to these two protocols, or Stargate is actually built on LayerZero and actually resembles a lot of LayerZero core concepts, I'll just use the same photo. So at the moment, there are a lot of different bridges that we have, wormhole, synapses, and there's a bunch of different bridges specific to different blockchains, okay? And at the moment, if I want to move fund from, let's say, Ethereum to Solana, the only option I have is to use a bridge. And now what's the problem is the way the bridges function. How the bridges functions, there's two main ways how a bridge functions. So when I use a bridge and I try to transfer an asset called X that's on Ethereum to Solana, what happens is once I initiate the transfer from the bridge, the first scenario is either the asset gets locked on the bridge confirms that the asset is locked, and then it will unlock a wrapped asset on the other end, okay? The second way is the assets are sent to the bridge burns those assets and actually mints a wrapped version of the same asset and gives you that asset on the other end. So if I send X at the moment using a bridge, I'm getting a wrapped or WX on the other end. The risk here is the point of failure is the bridge. And we've seen multiple times that the bridge can be exploited, and there's a lot of hackers that have been able to withdraw millions from the bridge by attacking the bridge. So what does attacking the bridge mean?
So there runs our issue. Okay, so this is the reason why no one wants to tackle this project, because having $100 million on your head is not super fun, especially if you're not the one that's like if you rugged it, maybe you could make a plan, but somebody else rugging it would not be awesome. So let's just listen for another minute and then we'll just pull it down.
Interesting.
because you're dealing with two different assets here. One is a wrapped asset and one is a native asset. So even though it's a wrapped asset, it's basically a different kind of asset on the other end. So what happens is the exploiters, they can confuse the bridge in thinking that they've actually locked or burned the asset on one end. And since the bridge thinks that you've actually burned your asset on one end, it will give you the asset on the other end thinking that you've actually done it. And there's a lot of other ways to confuse a bridge. So basically the point of failure is the bridge, and the risk that your assets might not reach the other end, the assets might get locked up in the bridge, is very high. So if the bridge fails while you're transferring a huge amount of money, then the chances of you not getting your asset on the other end are very high. So if it's a small amount, it doesn't really matter. To understand more on that and what the issues are, you should read about the bridging trilemma. I'll leave the link to this article in the description as well, or the Medium link. This is from Ryan, and he's actually co-founder and CTO at LayerZero Labs, and he actually goes into detail on what the trilemma is and how Stargate actually solves this issue. I'm going to go a little bit into this as well, but since it's very technical, I'll try to keep it very short and easy to understand. All right, so this is basically a simplified version of how Stargate Finance works. So if I want to send an asset or sell an asset called X that is on Ethereum at the moment, I want to transfer that to Solana ecosystem or the Solana blockchain, I can use Stargate, and in one transaction, if I send or if I sell whatever, then it sends the information to Stargate, and Stargate handles that, and then you'll give me, or you will carry out transaction on the other end. Now, there's a few things you need to understand. The first is the concept of finality, right? So if you remember here in the bridge, we talked about how the bridge might be exploited. Sometimes if you send your fund and if the bridge is not in a perfect condition, then your assets might be locked, or worst case scenario, your asset might be lost in that case, right? So finality means that if I send a transaction through from one end, then it's guaranteed that I'm going to get the end result of the transaction. Meaning, at the moment, I'm trying to transfer asset called X using Stargate Finance. If I initiate a transaction saying sell X on Solana, then I send the transaction through to Stargate Finance. It is guaranteed that that transaction will go through and I'll get that end result on my end, because the Stargate Finance uses something called relayer oracles, and they've got other algorithms as well that make sure that without the user actually sending that asset to Stargate Finance, it won't execute the second transaction or the final transaction that has to go through. And it does that by using Oracle, which is your chain link usually, or you can use, and depending on what the developers' requirements are, they can use Chainlink, you can use or any Oracle services, for example, Band protocol as well. And once the Oracle confirms that that transaction or transaction that you initiated is valid and is true, then that Oracle confirms with Stargate Finance, and then that transaction is completed. Now, the point of failure is definitely the Oracle or the relayers that the Stargate Finance is using. I'm not sure how risky this is or how safe this is, but we should definitely see as time moves on and people deploy more apps on it, it will definitely expose more risks or more opportunities as well as time goes on. So the concept of finality is there, and this concept of native asset as well. So Stargate Finance has developed a Delta bridge and also a algorithm called the Delta algorithm. So Delta bridge enables native assets. So as compared to your traditional bridges where you are getting a wrapped asset, which technically represents the value of the same asset that you sent, using Stargate Finance, you are getting the native asset. For example, if you have an asset called X on ETH, for example, let's say you have USDT on ETH, there's no need to get a wrapped USDT or WUSDT on the other end. Using Stargate Finance, if you send an asset X, you are getting that asset X, meaning native asset, not the wrapped asset. So achieve this by something called Delta Bridge. It's basically the bridge, the Stargate Finance itself. And the Delta algorithm is something that's very interesting. In the image, what you see is on the left is your Stargate Finance liquidity pool. So if you don't know what liquidity pool is, so when you're trading on a decentralized.
Have you gotten the gist of what I need you to understand?
This is interesting. I feel like I still need a deep dive to understand how Stargate works a little bit.
But you understand the proponents.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just put it down for now, guys. I just wanted you guys to kind of get the gist because we're not all going to figure this out in one day. I still have a bunch of work to do too. I have no idea about the innards of the Oracle itself. And again, there's just some points there that I have to work through. Sam, what do you know? So let me ask you a question, Sam. Where are we at with what's going on these other chains for you? What do you see? Like, we have these 3 chains coming out. We know we want them to all be interoperable, but people are saying, how many chains is there? How many chains can there be? What is your thoughts process on all of this in general? Just as like you've seen adoption happen with Tesla, like as far as adoption is concerned, and Hex, and everything.
I think
question. I think
as we move forward, right, the ability for people to do things has to become easier. And right now it's kind of clunky. It's cumbersome to do things in crypto. And it feels like if you say you took Android or Apple, they each have multiple phones that run their OS. And most people are not gonna care, right? They're just gonna go buy another iPhone, or they're just gonna go buy another Android. But they're not really gonna give a crap about like which one it is terribly. If it's Android, they're gonna buy Android. If it's the other one, if it's iOS, they're gonna buy iOS. Now, when I apply that thinking to crypto, for me, it doesn't hold up. And the analogy that seems to hold up better is a Intel chip inside of a computer. Like nerds, they're going to buy an Intel chip inside of the computer. Most people are just going to buy a computer. And that's how I think about a layer 1, that a lot of people are not going to give a fuck about it in the future because it's just going to be a settlement layer. It's just going to be the layer that it allows for.
But is that enough? Is that enough?
In which way?
Like, is Ethereum just being Ether enough, or does it have to be stakeable? Is that? I guess that's part of it. Like, we can stake ETH. So I mean, like, what's wrong with the native asset just being diluted is kind of what, because it doesn't move as fast over time too. So it really just becomes something that, like, I don't buy Ethereum for price action, period. And and I would suggest to other people that they do if they have a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, Ethereum's going to do a 27x. Like, if you're going to get into crypto, like, I'm not going to tell you to buy ETH right now.
Yeah, don't do the shit I'm doing, but good solid.
Because you like it though. You want to get up on it. You want to make it happen. You want to see it through. You want to see it's cool as well. We like it. There's other ways to make money, guys. There's a lot of other ways to make money, and you can flip houses and you can do whatever the fuck you want. But this is a way too. And if you study all day and learn, you can have an advantage and become very, very wealthy over a few years. But there's a lot of risk too. You can spend a lot of time. But the risk in crypto is that it all happens in a year or 2 years, and then you're done. And that's the thing we all kind of know. So we're just like really spreading ourselves at this point. Like, I think it's important just to spread ourselves as far as understanding what's going on. This is going to happen whether we like it or not. This is the technology that they're going to use. So
the longer this bear market happens, I feel like the longer or the faster, the more like explosive the bull run is going to happen, because we're doing this daily, right? We're talking to people daily about crypto in real life. There's presumably, of the 126 people watching, there's probably most, or at least a good portion of those people we're talking to about crypto in real life. And the longer this progresses, bear market that is, the more people are going to be getting in this time. And when this comes out of this bear market, it could be the end of next year, we have no idea, right? But when it does come out, the longer this progresses, I think the more violent, and that's an appropriate word, I think, for the explosiveness on the upside is going to happen, because there's going to be so many new users that have come in during the bear market, and then they start to see, I made the right decision, because prices are starting to go up, and there's going to be a portion of people who just want to take money out, but there's going to be a portion of people like who think long term who are going to be, oh,
or
shit.
there's a portion that are learning about it today. Then there's the whole other portion that just learn about it in the bull run. They only know it in the bull run. Everyone goes through that too, because if you get excited about crypto, it's generally because it's being presented to you all over the internet in some way, shape, or form, unless you're just a nerd who's like, oh, crypto's the best, so I should look into it.
Or you happen to be friends with GRC or myself, and we just don't shut the fuck up about crypto.
Well, I don't have friends anymore, so use that lightly. I have family and computer companions. So here we're gonna play a quick. Well, I don't know about quick, but we got 10, 15 minutes. This is big time. 13,000 views. People don't even know how legit I am for just playing the stuff that's legit, because this stuff only has 13,000 views, man. This is the dude who created the shit.
Hey, can I?
Yeah.
Can I? Let's go through this, and then I've been, as we've been doing this, I've been pulling up the V3 liquidity for Defi, and let's see what the smart people are doing, right? Because when you see 120 million hacks, what does that equate to dollars? I don't know, many millions of dollars of hacks that have been submitted to this contract. Let's see how these players are putting in their limit orders with V3, right? That's your range order is the same thing as a limit order. Let's see what they're doing. So I've been looking at that in the background. I have it up in the background now, but let's get into the video and then we'll touch on that.
Let's pull this up for a couple minutes. This is Vitalik. And I'm gonna watch more of this when I'm doing my solo stream, but this is just the part. This is the money part. So I'm gonna show you the money part. And I say it's money because we're learning, right? So we're looking for information, right? Yes, we're looking for information. We're not just being like, oh, I like this, or oh, I don't like this guy. I like this guy. Oh, who's the guy with the big head? Oh, no. This dude could run circles around you without leaving his bed all day. This dude, savage compared to you. Savage. You better start believing that. Hex Monkey, your streams are very informative. Keep it up, GRC and Sam, with the $20 super chat. It was great to meet you in Vegas, man. All right, yeah, I'm so the hate on this guy, or more like the naivete, is like, come on, bro. 19 years old, dude. He was running circles around your shit. I was doing nothing at 19 years old, nothing. And I'm a heavy hitter, like in my opinion. Like I like to research, really get into it. And this dude, man, he's the only guy I got to turn down to 0.75 to listen to. I don't have to turn down anyone else. But everything he says is sharp, detailed, and right to the point. So he can make a lot happen in 6 minutes. And if you listen slowly, people are like, why don't you listen on 2x speed? And it's like, because I actually have to listen to what the fuck he's saying. Like, what the fuck? Like, I listened to this 8 times. Do you think I'm going to make it 2 times speed? Like, I want to listen, and then I'll never have to listen again. Just be done with it. You know what I mean? So
the answer is like, no, we are currently very far from what a truly optimal Ethereum proof of stake would look like, right? And
Oops, I just muted. Oh, you're sending it back.
Better long-term form of proof of stake, and the other is if the research team and only the research team had 500 years to spin its wheels, could it have come up with a better way of managing the transition? So for the first question, I think the answer is like, no, we are currently very far from what a truly optimal Ethereum proof of stake would look like, right? And, recently we've been having these discussions about single slot finality, which is just a big redesign of the consensus. There's all of these designs around like Merkle trees and different ways to implement sharding and different ways to implement deposit and withdraw logic and all of this stuff. So still a lot of improvement work to go. And I think we do still have the opportunity to keep working hard over the next few years to make that improvement actually happen. But then on the question of was the merge as it was done the best way to do the transition? I would say maybe yes, maybe no, right? So I think if I could like give myself a research time capsule back to 2014, I probably would have said, don't.
And I just want everyone to notice, like, what would a dude that was just trying to be a goofball and boast say? He would say, of course, it was flawless. But what is the first thing that he says? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say no. And here's why. And he's not going to say Ethereum's going to the moon. He does not give a fuck. He's trying to scale to everyone in the world. That is his goal. Like, so I'm just saying, like, when he's saying this stuff, I'm really grateful that he speaks like this. So I can actually, I'm like, yes, thank you. I believe what you're saying. I'm focused. And sometimes for guys like me, maybe the guys like me matter more than just the random guy who's never going to pay attention anyway, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Like, maybe the masses are more important. But man, I just appreciate Vitalik so much for being on here. Like, he's a legend, and he doesn't come on this stuff very often.
This is from yesterday. There's going to be a second part to this Bankless podcast episode this coming week, but definitely worth a listen if you want to understand what like the people at the forefront of their industry are doing, and the people at the forefront of crypto are doing. Like, pay attention to some of these episodes.
You might have to skip a crypto coffee episode and watch the founder of Ethereum. You know, like when you're making a financial decision. Maybe skip over. Well, I show you this stuff all day, so I guess you can just watch me, because I just go straight to these guys. And at 1 o'clock, really all I do is watch videos of these guys, because they tell you. And I'm going to play this for another minute and 16 seconds. We're right until the end of this, and let's see what he has to say to finish the statement. He said no and yes.
2014, I probably would have said, don't bother with the Casper FFG design, and instead implement a simpler version of chain-based proof of stake first, and so that you can move to that in like maybe around 2018, and then like properly improve proof of stake later on a more relaxed schedule. Where like I do think that we set ourselves goals that were a little bit too high for the proof of stake that we moved to for the first round, and we even ended up not accomplishing some of those goals, right? Like, there's a lot of these security issues that arose from the specific design of the Casper FFG system, and the way that the LMD Ghost and fork choice side and the BFT consensus side like interact with each other. And that's one of the bigger things that we're going to have to resolve with a single SWOT finality change. So yeah, basically I think create a simpler and less powerful proof of stake and move to it earlier would have been one of the bigger changes that I would have made. But the format of the merge, I think, was excellent. Like, I still don't think that there's a better merge format that we could have come up with, and I definitely hope that other chains like Zcash and Dogecoin are probably two proof of work chains whose core dev communities I talk to a lot and I'm pretty friendly with. Like, I hope they learn from the merge and they move over to proof of stake.
I wish Richard Hart's dev team was friendly with their dev team. That would be cool. Can they get friendly? When do they get friendly? I want them to be friendly. He mentioned Dogecoin, but he didn't mention us. Can he start to mention us? Can we be a little more presentable, please, so we can talk about each other? And like, Vitalik's not going to bring up some goofball shit, dude. He's a freaking nerd. He's off brand. He's not like, why would he be off brand? Like, he's just like, dude, I've been the same dude since I was 16. Like, he
literally doesn't care to even
take a shower.
And look at his lighting versus the other two dudes here.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't care about that kind of shit.
He probably wants his lighting low. He's probably bothered by being here. He probably feels like he's sacrificing a lot to be here, but he is giving it a hell of an effort. Like no one understood what he just said in the last 5 minutes, including myself. But that's not the point. If you listen to the stuff 12 or 15 times, the verbiage gets a little more clean for you. And you just need to keep listening to it. And that's just an example of what we kind of get into a lot as well at the 1 o'clock show when I'm just doing my my shit. But Sam, you want to pull something up and show the people? I'm going to just use the bathroom, but explain slow so I don't miss anything.
Okay. So yesterday, 2 days ago, we had Jesse on, right? And we were going through liquidity providing. If you haven't seen that episode, go freaking watch it. It's a good one. Where if you go through and you go to info.uniswap.org, you can pull up the histogram. Histogram is a fancy word for like the distribution of liquidity between two pairs. This is how you can do limit orders. A range order is effectively a limit order. And when I was thinking about Defi, right, the token that Maximus team launched, I'm like, I wonder, because it's gotten the community, right? Everybody's trusting these guys now, which I think they're awesome, right? Dipcapture and Gold Key, great guys. Now, what are the people who have a lot more resources with 820 million hex put into this contract? What are those people going to be doing? And if you look at the distribution or histogram of the like pairs in Uniswap, we get to see what they're doing, right? So this is Defi USDC 1%. So this is the pair between these two in the 1% group, right? Because you have a group of 0.05%, 0.3%, 1%, and then I think there's one other group there. But this is the distribution, right? So this blue line, this is where everybody has decided to contribute liquidity to this pair that is USDC and Hex, right? And you get to see that there's 173,000 tokens for Defi and about 1,600 USD dollars for USD, right? But let's take a look at this. Okay, so if we see this, we see that the current price is here. Over here to the left, we see these big jumps here, right? And then there's another one right here, which means there's somebody else thinking the same strategy. And then there's somebody else doing this here. Now this could be one person, or this could be a bunch of people. Now let's look at one more, and then we're going to describe what I believe this is. So we got the same exact thing here, but now we have Defi and Icosa, right? So let's zoom out here so you get to see what this actually looks like. Whoops. This is the distribution for this. Hopefully it loads back up here. And again, what do we see? We see the blue is pretty low here, right, between Icosa and Defi. And then we see this big block to the left. Well, what does that mean? Well, the price of Icosa goes up, right? And it goes up based upon demand until you hit areas like this where there's a lot of people who want to sell. Think of these as giant areas where people want to sell. This is a one-sided position right here because the price is over here. This block is outside of the price. So this is a limit order to sell Defi. And if you look at the edge of this, so if you want to know what's going to happen, this is at, well, let's look at USDC because.
So tell us why, Sam. Why does it look like this?
Because these people, right? These people who have these blocks over here to the left-hand side of the pink line, they're putting in limit orders to sell their Defi when the price goes from where it's currently at about 3 cents up to 5 cents, 4.9 cents.
Now, if you went on vacation, Sam, for 7 days, would you not be able to have an LP position? Because what if the price ran
up? So you mean the price goes up?
The price ran up on Hex, and then everything was valued way much higher.
Then these people would be able to sell all of their Defi. That's what
they're able to, but it would be weak sauce because anyone that knows the Hex pair is going to move up would not want that.
Because this is running into a giant buy wall or sell wall, right? This is
Could
a wall.
This be somebody who wants the price to be where it's at as well? Like somebody who manually has a bunch and just kind of is like, this is where it should be right now.
This is probably somebody who got a bunch of Defi. They believe they saw what happened with Maxi, and now they're like, I'm going to lock in a 50% profit. Let me put this LP position on now. If the price gets up here, then perfect. I will sell so I can get a 50% gain relative to Hex, right? Because what's going to happen with Defi? It's going to trade 1 for 1. Tomorrow you see a little bit of a premium, or whatever the case is. You're probably going to see Defi trading at a premium until it's greater than 50%. At that point, we run into two walls of people trying to sell Defi. There's people trying to sell Defi at this point right here where the wall starts, right? This is the highest point. Once it gets through here, the price is easier to move. Down here, the price is easier to move. Over here, it just takes a teeny little bit for the price to move. But once you hit this area where it's really thick, it's like wading through a swamp and you're waist deep in muck, right? It's much slower to move through this range than it is through this range. And this is a lot slower than to move through this, where like $1,000 can move the price substantially here, where $1,000 is not going to move the price as much here, where $1,000 won't move the price at all here, kind of thing. Where it talks about how quickly the price can move, but also we get to understand what these people are trying to do. They're trying to sell when it gets to a certain point. I just wanted to highlight that because I thought this was super interesting. And there's other people who are thinking exactly how I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, no, it makes a perfect sense. To me, it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, there's a lot going on right now, guys, and we're going to stay on top of it. We're going to be, if anything goes on live today, if there's any Richard Heart, if there's any Vitalik, if there's any, even Charles Hoskinson, maybe, we're not getting desperate, but Charles is a heavy hitter. Okay. So, but we really want to learn more about interoperability. We've been dealing with the PulseSwap as far as I purchased some like 2 days after the dude came on the show, because I was like, man, they're getting a lot of volume. And it seems like they are getting a lot of volume over there on ETH-POW. And their price chart looks great or whatever, but that's not super important. But it's important that we're getting these liquidity pools tied together. So if you go over to PulseSwap and look, you can see Sam's money. I mean, everyone's LP positions. It's just, you could dodge Sam's amount of money Sam had. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of volume. There's a lot of people using it. So I don't know how much money, but there's a lot of people using it. And they're young. The dude called me again yesterday. He's like, man, this is fun. Like, it's just me and my bros are going at it. And, they don't seem like the best, they're not Vitaliks or anything, but they're coders. They're nerds. They're excited about this stuff. And we're early, and I was happy to have them on the show because I like what they've been doing so far.
Do we know who is behind FairSwap?
Mm-mm. No.
If anybody
I can't figure out the decks, dude. I feel like it's weird. Like
it is sloppy looking.
They won't make it like I couldn't even purchase on there. I was trying to see if it would work because I used all of them, and that was like getting that to work. I could not get it to work.
I was able to get it to work, but it didn't work very well yet. If anybody knows anybody or a connect over on Twitter or something, connect us with them so we can get them on here. The people from FairSwap, which is what is that? Uniswap.ethereum. No, it's a difference. I think it's called FairSwap.fi. I think is what it is. Connect us with them. We can get them on here and talk to them about what's going on over on ETF and understand what they're doing with their decks. It is a V2 version. It's not V3. I prefer V3 personally. It's a lot more flexibility, and you can do a lot of things that you can't do elsewhere. Like you can't do a lot of stuff on V2 that you can do on V3. So you want to take us out of here with some DeFi proof, bro?
Yeah, guys, everyone have an incredible day. If you don't, I'm almost 10,000 followers on Twitter. I'm getting very close. So
go check below.
I'm going to drop the link down there. And if you retweet, I will follow you. And I don't really unfollow anyone. So you'll probably get a follow forever from me. You might get a block, but you'll probably still have a follow. So let me drop this link here. Yeah, guys, retweet this and spread the word. I want to get to 10K today. I wanted to yesterday, but the day went by and it didn't happen. So today now. Every day is a good day when you're partying like we are. Okay, we're partying. Look at our mustaches, biceps in the chat, guys. Everyone have an incredible day. Make sure you join the HexPal chat too, t.me/HexPal. If you have questions and you DM me, you're an asshole. Don't DM me a silly little question when we shill the Telegram all day long, and you know what they do all day long? Answer questions. So there's how that goes, guys. People are like, how do I buy ETF? And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Like you're way. You've been watching too much Hexo and coffee. I'm just joking.
We do love. I mean, I love GRC constantly complains about talking to everybody, but I love talking to you guys. But just kidding. It is easier because we do other shit. It is easier. There's like about 1,000 people in the group. If you go to t.me/hexpow, there is a bunch of super smart, helpful people in there. So like if you DM myself or GRC and we don't get back to you right away, jump over to that Telegram group and just be like, hey, I fucking blew up Sam and fucking douche is not responding to me. Can you guys help me with this question? And somebody will help you with that question. Somebody will definitely.
And I was joking. And first of all, Hexo's birthday was like yesterday, and I like Hexo a lot, and I like coffee too. And I was joking, and I don't hate any of these guys, and I'm really busy, frankly, so I cannot be arguing with anyone. You two Tangent, if you're watching, stop arguing with me. I'm busy as fuck. I can't argue. There's no, I'll have to block you. Literally, anyone who argues with me, I have to block you because I don't have any time to argue unless it's a good argument, like unless it's a productive argument of some sort. I'm just trying to get better every single day, guys. DeFi proof. Let's get the heck at it.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedron, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof. Yeah.
Crypto in the morning.